Daenerys. The land was red and dead and parched, and good wood was hard to come by. Her foragers returned with gnarled cottonwoods, purple brush, sheaves of brown grass. They took the two straightest trees, hacked the limbs and branches from them, skinned off their bark and split them, laying the logs in a square. Its centre they filled with straw, brush, bark shavings, and bundles of dry grass. Rokharo chose a stallion from the small herd that remained to them. He was not the equal of Khal Drogo's red, but few horses were. In the centre of the square, Argo fed him a withered apple and dropped him in an instant with an axe blow between the eyes. Bound hand and foot, Mirri Maz Dur watched from the dust with disquiet in her black eyes. "It is not enough to kill a horse," she told Dany. "By itself the blood is nothing. You do not have the words to make a spell, nor the wisdom to find them. Do you think blood magic is a game for children? You call me Meiji as if it were a curse, but it means wise. You are a child with a child's ignorance. Whatever you mean to do, it will not work. Loose me from these bonds, and I will help you." "I am tired of the Meiji's braying," Dany told Jogo. He took his whip to her, and after that the god's wife kept silent. Over the carcass of the horse they built a platform of hewn logs, trunks of smaller trees and limbs from the greater, and the thickest, straightest branches they could find. They laid the wood east to west, from sunrise to sunset. On the platform they piled Khal Drogo's treasures, his great tent, his painted vests, his saddles and harness, the whip his father had given him when he came to manhood, the arak he'd used to slay Khal Ogo and his son, a mighty dragon-bone bow. Argo would have added the weapons Dany's blood riders had given Dany for bride gifts as well, but she forbade it. "Those are mine," she told him, "and I mean to keep them." Another layer of brush was piled about the Khal's treasures, and bundles of dried grass scattered over them. Ser Jorah Mormont drew her aside as the sun was creeping toward its zenith. "Princess," he began. "Why do you call me that?" Dany challenged him. "My brother Viserys was your king, was he not?" "He was, my lady." "Viserys is dead. I am his heir, the last blood of House Targaryen. Whatever was his is mine now." "My queen," Ser Jorah said, going to one knee. "My sword that was his is yours, Daenerys, and my heart as well. That never belonged to your brother. I am only a knight, and I have nothing to offer you but exile, but I beg you hear me. Let Khal Drogo go. You shall not be alone. I promise you, no man shall take you to Vaes Dothrak unless you wish to go. You need not join the Dosh Khaleen. Come east with me, Yiti, Karth, the Jade Sea, Ashai by the Shadow. We will see all the wonders yet unseen, and drink what wines the gods see fit to serve us. Please, Khaleesi, I know what you intend. Do not. Do not." "I must," Dany told him. She touched his face fondly, sadly. "You do not understand." "I understand that you loved him," Ser Jorah said in a voice thick with despair. "I loved my lady wife once, yet I did not die with her. You are my queen, my sword is yours, but do not ask me to stand aside as you climb Drogo's pyre. I will not watch you burn." "Is that what you fear?" Dany kissed him lightly on his broad forehead. "I am not such a child as that, sweet sir." "You do not mean to die with him? You swear it, my queen." "I swear it," she said in the common tongue of the 7 kingdoms that by right were hers. The third level of the platform was of woven branches no thicker than a finger and covered with dry leaves and twigs. They laid them north to south, from ice to fire, and piled them high with soft cushions and sleeping silks. The sun had begun to lower toward the west by the time they were done. Dany called the Dothraki round her. Fewer than 100 were left. How many had Aegon started with, she wondered. It did not matter. "You will be my Khalasar," she told them. "I see the faces of slaves. I free you. Take off your collars. Go if you wish. No one will harm you. If you stay, it will be as brothers and sisters, husbands and wives." The black eyes watched her, wary, expressionless. "I see the children, women, the wrinkled faces of the aged. I was a child yesterday. Today I am a woman. Tomorrow I will be old. To each of you I say, give me your hands and your hearts, and there will always be a place for you." She turned to the 3 young warriors of her caste. "Jogo, to you I give the silver-handled whip that was my bride gift, and name you Ko, and ask your oath, that you will live and die as blood of my blood, riding at my side to keep me safe from harm." Jogo took the whip from her hands, but his face was confused. "Khaleesi," he said hesitantly, "this is not done. It would shame me to be blood rider to a woman." "Argo," Dany called, paying no heed to Jogo's words. "If I look back, I am lost." "To you I give the dragon bone bow that was my bride gift." It was double curved, shiny, black and exquisite, taller than she was. "I name you Ko, and ask your oath, that you should live and die as blood of my blood, riding at my side to keep me safe from harm." Argo accepted the bow with lowered eyes. "I cannot say these words. Only a man can lead a Khalasar, or name a Ko." "Rakaro," Dany said, turning away from the refusal. "You shall have the great Arak that was my bride gift, with hilt and blade chased in gold. And you too I name my Ko, and ask that you live and die as blood of my blood, riding at my side to keep me safe from harm." "You are Khaleesi," Rakaro said, taking the Arak. "I shall ride at your side to Vest Dothrak beneath the Mother Mountains, and keep you safe from harm until you take your place with the crones of the Dush Khaleen. No more can I promise." She nodded, as calmly as though she'd not heard his answer, and turned to the last of her champions. "Sir Jorah Mormont," she said, "first and greatest of my knights, I have no bride gift to give you, but I swear to you, one day you shall have from my hands a long sword like none the world has ever seen, dragon-forged and made of Valyrian steel, and I would ask for your oath as well." "You have it, my queen," Sir Jorah said, kneeling to lay his sword at her feet. "I vow to serve you, to obey you, to die for you if it need be." "Whatever may come?" "Whatever may come." "I shall hold you to that oath. I pray you never regret the giving of it." Dany lifted him to his feet. Stretching on her toes to reach his lips, she kissed the knight gently and said, "You are the first of my queen's guard." She could feel the eyes of the Khalasar on her as she entered her tent. The Dothraki were muttering and giving her strange sideways looks from the corners of their dark almond eyes. They thought her mad, Dany realized. Perhaps she was. She would know soon enough. If I look back, I am lost. Her bath was scalding hot when Irri helped her into the tub, but Dany did not flinch or cry aloud. She liked the heat. It made her feel clean. Jiqui had scented the water with the oils she'd found in the market in Vest Dothrak. The steam rose, moist and fragrant. Doria washed her hair and combed it out, working loose the mats and tangles. Irri scrubbed her back. Dany closed her eyes and let the smell and the warmth enfold her. She could feel the heat soaking through the soreness between her thighs. She shuddered when it entered her, and her pain and stiffness seemed to dissolve. She floated. When she was clean, her handmaids helped her from the water. Irri and Jiqui fanned her dry, while Doria brushed her hair until it felt like a river of liquid silver down her back. They scented her with spice flower and cinnamon, a touch on each wrist, behind her ears, on the tips of her milk-heavy breasts. The last dab was for her sex. Erie's finger felt as light and cool as a lover's kiss as it slid softly between her lips. Afterward, Dany sent them all away so she might prepare Khal Drogo for his final ride in the Nightlands. She washed his body clean and brushed and oiled his hair, running her fingers through it for the last time, feeling the weight of it, remembering the first time she'd touched it, the night of their wedding ride. His hair had never been cut. How many men could die with their hair uncut? She buried her face in it and inhaled the dark fragrance of the oils. He smelled like grass and warm earth, like smoke and semen and horses. He smelled like Drogo. "Forgive me, son of my life," she thought. "Forgive me for all I have done and all I must do. I paid the price, my star, but it was too high. Too high." Dany braided his hair and slid the silver rings into his moustache and hung his bells one by one. So many bells, gold and silver and bronze. Bells so his enemies would hear him coming and grow weak with fear. She dressed him in horsehair leggings and high boots, buckling a belt heavy with gold and silver medallions about his waist. Over his scarred chest she slipped a painted vest, old and faded, the one Drogo had loved best. For herself she chose loose sand-silk trousers, sandals that laced halfway up her legs, and a vest like Drogo's. The sun was going down when she called them back to carry his body to the pyre. The Dothraki watched in silence as Drogo and Argo bore him down from the tent. Dany walked behind them. They laid him down on his cushions and silks, his head toward the Mother of Mountains far to the northeast. "Oil," she commanded, and they brought forth the jars and poured them over the pyre, soaking the silks and the brush, and the bundles of dry grass until the oil trickled from beneath the logs and the air was rich with fragrance. "Bring my eggs," Dany commanded her handmaids. Something in her voice made them run. Ser Jorah took her arm. "My queen, Drogo will have no use for dragon's eggs in the Nightlands. Better to sell them in Ashai. Sell one and we can buy a ship to take us back to the free cities. Sell all 3 and you will be a wealthy woman all your days." "They were not given to me to sell," Dany told him. She climbed the pyre herself to place the eggs around her sun and stars, the black beside his heart, under his arm, the green beside his head, his braid coiled round it, and the cream and gold between his legs. When she kissed him for the last time, Dany could taste the sweetness of the oil on his lips. As she climbed down off the pyre, she noticed Mirri Maz Dur watching her. "You are mad," she said hoarsely. "Is it so far from madness to wisdom?" Dany asked. "Ser Jorah, take this Magi and bind her to the pyre." My queen, no, hear me." "Do as I say." Still he hesitated until her anger flared. "You swore to obey me whatever might come. Rakaro, help him." The god's wife did not cry out as they dragged her to Khal Drogo's pyre and staked her down amidst the treasures. Dany poured the oil over the woman's head herself. "I thank you, Mirri Maz Dur," Dany told her, "for the lessons you have taught me." "You will not hear me scream," Mirri responded as the oil dripped from her hair and soaked her clothing. "I will," said Dany. "But it is not your screams I want, only your life. I remember what you told me. Only death can pay for life." Mirri Maz Dur opened her mouth but made no reply. As she stepped away, Dany saw that the contempt was gone from the Magi's flat black eyes. In its place was something that might have been fear. There was nothing to be done but watch the sun and look for the first star. When a horse lord dies, his horse is slain with him so he might ride proud into the Nightlands. The bodies are burned beneath the open sky, and the Khal rides on his fiery steed to take his place amongst the stars. The more fiercely the man burned in life, the brighter his star will shine in the darkness. Drogo spied it first. "There," he said in a hushed voice. Danny looked and saw it, low in the east. The first star was a comet, burning red, blood red, fire red, the dragon's tail. She could not have asked for a stronger sign. Danny took the torch from Argo's hand and thrust it between the logs. The oil took the fire at once, the brush and dried grass a heartbeat later. Tiny flames went darting up the wood like swift red mice, skating over the oil and leaping from bark to branch to leaf. A rising heat puffed at her face, soft and sudden as a lover's breath, but in seconds it had grown too hot to bear. Danny stepped backward. The wood crackled, louder and louder. Mirri Maz Dur began to sing in a shrill, ululating voice. The flames whirled and writhed, racing each other up the platform. The dusk shimmered as the air itself seemed to liquefy from the heat. Danny heard logs spit and crack. The fires swept over Mirri Maz Dur. Her song grew louder, shriller. Then she gasped, again and again, and her song became a shuddering wail, thin and high and full of agony. And now the flames had reached her Drogo, and now they were all around him. His clothing took fire, and for an instant the Khal was clad in wisps of floating orange silk tendrils of curling smoke, grey and greasy. Danny's lips parted, and she found herself holding her breath. Part of her wanted to go to him as Ser Jorah had feared, to rush into the flames to beg for his forgiveness and take him inside her one last time, the fire melting the flesh from their bones until they were as one forever. She could smell the odour of burning flesh, no different than horseflesh roasting in a fire pit. The pyre roared in the deepening dusk like some great beast, drowning out the fainter sound of Mirri Maz Dur's screaming and sending up long tongues of flame to lick at the belly of the night. As the smoke grew thicker, the Dothraki backed away, coughing. Huge orange gouts of fire unfurled their banners in that hellish wind, the logs hissing and cracking, glowing cinders rising on the smoke to float away into the dark like so many newborn fireflies. The heat beat at the air with great red wings, driving the Dothraki back, driving off even Mormont, but Danny stood her ground. She was the blood of the dragon, and the fire was in her. She had sensed the truth of it long ago, Danny thought, as she took a step closer to the conflagration, but the brazier had not been hot enough. The flames writhed before her like the women who danced at her wedding, whirling and singing and spinning their yellow and orange and crimson veils, fearsome to behold, yet lovely, so lovely, alive with heat. Danny opened her arms to them, her skin flushed and glowing. This is a wedding too, she thought. Mirri Maz Dur had fallen silent. The godswood had thought her a child, but children grow, and children learn. Another step, and Danny could feel the heat of the sand on the soles of her feet, even through her sandals. Sweat ran down her thighs and between her breasts and in rivulets over her cheeks where tears had once run. Ser Jorah was shouting behind her, but he did not matter any more. Only the fire mattered. The flames were so beautiful, the loveliest things she'd ever seen, each one a sorcerer robed in yellow and orange and scarlet, swirling long smoky cloaks. She saw crimson fire lions and great yellow serpents and unicorns made of pale blue flame. She saw fish and foxes and monsters, wolves and bright birds and flowering trees, each more beautiful than the last. She saw a horse, a great grey stallion limed in smoke, its flowing mane a nimbus of blue flame. Yes, my love, my sun and stars. Yes, mount now, ride now. Her vest had begun to smoulder, so Danny shrugged it off and let it fall to the ground. The painted leather burst into sudden flame as she skipped closer to the fire, her breasts bare to the blaze, streams of milk flowing from her red and swollen nipples. Now, she thought, now! And for an instant she glimpsed Khal Drogo before her, mounted on his smoky stallion, a flaming lash in his hand. He smiled, and the whip cracked down at the pyre, hissing. She heard a crack, the sound of shattering stone. The platform of wood and brush and grass began to shift and collapse in on itself. Bits of burning wood slid down at her, and Danny was showered with ash and cinders. And something else came crashing down. bouncing and rolling to land at her feet. A chunk of curved rock, pale and veined with gold, broken and smoking. The roaring filled the world, yet dimly through the firefall Danny heard women shriek and children cry out in wonder. Only death can pay for life. And there came a second crack, loud and sharp as thunder, and the smoke stirred and whirled round her and the pyre shifted, the logs exploding as the fire touched their secret hearts. She heard the screams of frightened horses, and the voices of the Dothraki raised in shouts of fear and terror, and Ser Jorah calling her name and cursing. No, she wanted to shout to him. No, my good knight, do not fear for me. The fire is mine. I am Daenerys Stormborn, daughter of dragons, bride of dragons, mother of dragons. Don't you see? Don't you see? With a belch of flame and smoke that reached 30 feet into the sky, the pyre collapsed and came down around her. Unafraid, Danny stepped forward into the firestorm, calling to her children. The third crack was as loud and sharp as the breaking of the world. When the fire died at last and the ground became cool enough to walk on, Ser Jorah found her amidst the ashes, surrounded by blackened logs and bits of glowing ember and the burnt bones of man and woman and stallion. She was naked, covered with soot, her clothes turned to ash, her beautiful hair all crisped away, yet she was unhurt. The cream and gold dragon was suckling at her left breast, the green and bronze at her right. Her arms cradled them close. The black and scarlet beast was draped across her shoulders, its long sinuous neck coiled under her chin. When it saw Jorah, it raised its head and looked at him with eyes as red as coals. Wordless, the knight fell to his knees. The men of her caste came up behind him. Jogo was the first to lay his arak at her feet. "Blood of my blood," he whispered, pushing his face to the smoking earth. "Blood of my blood," she heard Argo echo. "Blood of my blood," Rakaro shouted. And after them came her handmaids, and then the others, all Dothraki, men and women and children, and Danny had only to look at their eyes to know that they were hers now, today and tomorrow and forever, hers as they had never been Drogo's. As Daenerys Targaryen rose to her feet, her black hissed, pale smoke venting from its mouth and nostrils. The other two pulled away from her breasts and added their voices to the call, translucent wings unfolding and stirring the air, and for the first time in hundreds of years, the night came alive with the music of dragons.
So we have dragons.
The night was alive with the music of dragons! Ah, dragons! Lola, dragons!
Yeah, and I love the way he describes the flames and like what she sees in the flames. And I would love to dissect that more with a spoiler in case the view
Conversation.
on it. But
yeah.
I wonder how much of that actually foreshadows what will happen.
I think quite a bit of it does. I think quite a bit about the whole ritual foreshadows quite a lot.
Oh, 100%. But like what she sees in the fire.
Definitely has a fiend fire kind of echo to it, too. And also alludes to it being a blood magic ritual.
Yes. And want to point out, so here's the first egg crack, which is the white one. Well, cream one.
Yep.
Gold flecks. Second is the green one.
Yep.
And finally, third was the black one.
Yep.
And her description of it was the sound of the world cracking.
Yes.
Stallion who will mount the world, anyone?
Right? And also a little bit of commentary and echo on the Dothraki legend of the moon broke. Was it the moon broke and the dragons came out?
Yeah.
So yeah, little of that and some stallion who will mount the world action.
And her people follow her now like they have never followed Khal Drogo.
Her whole attitude in this whole chapter is just very much a declaration to the world. I am Daenerys Stormborn, and I am here, and I am strong, and you all watch out.
He's like, no one's giving me a titty twister from here on out.
I don't need a man to protect me anymore. I am who I am, and I am claiming my birthright. I am the dragon.
The only man I need now is this scaly boy on my shoulder. Assuming that one or more of them are boys. Or maybe dragons don't have gender like that.
I mean, I know how dragon gender works in A Song of Ice and Fire.
Do they ever describe it?
Yeah, they talk about it. I don't know if they talk about it in the books, but I think in
Fire and Blood.
Yeah,
they talk about it, don't they? Yep. Okay.
Dragon gender.
So there are genders. Okay.
Well, yes, but
either way, getting off topic. Yeah, it was an awesome chapter and a great way to end the book.
It was the best possible way to end the book. Are you kidding? Dragons!
And if you were reading this for the first time and you ended on this, like, you're running out and getting the next book, or if you were one of the people who read it when it first came out and it wasn't out yet,
you were dying for the next book. You're like, are you good? Are we going to get another one? It's going to be another one, right? That wasn't the end, was it?
Hope not.
Yeah, what a way to end. What a way to end.
I'm pretty happy that I started reading it when, like, the second book was out, because
you could at least immediately read the next one.
And I read the second one, like, a few months before the third one actually came out.
So you hit it.
So I got caught up and everything. I got it right away.
You hit the sweet spot.
And because of that, I can't remember how the second one ends, but I'm pretty sure this ending is one of the most cliffhanger-ish endings out of all the books. Save for the final book. I'm not going to talk about any endings, but I think this is definitely one of those where it's like the most like, I need to know what now.
Yeah, right? I feel like Dany's story really starts.
Oh, yeah. Before
her character
was the sidekick to her brother's story. Then she was the sidekick to Khal Drogo's story. Now, it's Dany. And her sidekicks are motherfucking dragons.
She just goes from being this young, timid, naive little girl who needs protection to just completely owning who she is. It's such a great character journey for the first book. It's just awesome, and she also, I think, shows some really good political savvy here, where she is like looking for the sign in the stars, and then she sees like the comet, and she's like, the comet, that's perfect. Now, whether she actually believes the comet is like heralding her time, whatever, but I think she's using that to like tell her followers, look, see the comet, it's an omen, it's a message from the stars heralding my coming. So I think she's very good at using the surrounding events to
right, it's like
get people to follow her and follow her without question. It's kind of a little propaganda-ish, you know.
It's like the Aztecs using the solar eclipse.
Right.
Using like propaganda.
Using naturally occurring phenomenon to your advantage. Who's going to question somebody who literally just gave birth to dragons? Nobody. You're going to be like, yo.
Well, you see her blood rider, well, now blood riders, she was handing them the stuff, and they're like, no.
Yeah.
Like, I'll take you over to
Vase
Dothrak, but after that, like, you're on your own. Now they're like, okay, yep, whatever you say.
Yep, whatever, girl, you got it. I'm yours for all time. So the book ends with Dany birthing dragons. Jon getting ready to go north of the wall. Catelyn and her son about to, like, rebel against the entire kingdom and secede from the Seven Kingdoms with the King in the North thing.
Yep.
And Tyrion is about to go to King's Landing to be putting Joffrey in line.
I know, that's going to be great. Tywin is sending his mini-me over to whoop Joffrey into shape.
His mini alter ego.
Yeah. Because let's face it, as much as they say they don't like each other,
they're a lot alike.
Exact same person.
I know, it's so great. It's what I love about that relationship.
One is littler than the other.
And then Arya, we're assuming, is being taken away by the Night's Watchman guy.
Mm-hmm.
That's really all we get. So that's kind of where everybody ends up. Am I forgetting anybody? Robb is king in the north. Jon is about to go north of the wall. Dany just did some crazy blood magic.
Bran is...
Oh, Bran. That's who I forgot about.
Bran is finding out that he is having some visions. He's seeing things that are actually happening.
Yep.
He saw his father's death.
Yeah, he's realizing that his premonitions, there may be more to them than just dreams. And Maester Luwin is not giving him the information he wants.
Catelyn is realizing that everything is her fault and that she's now trying to convince everyone to back out so she doesn't feel as guilty anymore.
And so her son doesn't die.
And that, yeah.
She would like that to not happen. Jaime Lannister is kidnapped.
He is.
Well, not kidnapped, but prisoner of war.
Mm-hmm.
Tywin is hanging out at Harrenhal, figuring out what to do next.
And super angry.
And he's really not yet. He's a little PO'd. Ned is dead.
Ned is dead. Yes. Ned is dead. Sansa is realizing what an idiot she is. So her and Catelyn are in the same boat.
Sansa is really regretting some decisions, and
she's learning. This was a learning experience.
She is not having a good time.
It was a very rough learning experience, but she did learn.
At least the Hound is there, giving her advice. He seems to be trying to give her advice.
Yeah.
But anyway, like, that's kind of where everyone ends up. But, like, what a banger to end on. What a banger. Great final chapter. Dragons.
You've got to end it there. I mean, how are you going to top that? Like, oh, the dragons hatched. Now let's go over to Jon in the Night's Watch and have his little sappy,
broody adventure into Town. Yeah, I'm a busted.
Like, no. You can't do that. What are you going to do? Dany and then Catelyn? Oh, my son.
Yeah.
No.
Rule of thumb is if you can end with dragons, end with dragons.
Yeah, if you got dragons, end with it.
You're not going to top.
And start with it if you can.
Yeah, I guess
Maybe the first chapter in the next book is Dany. I don't know. I haven't looked. I don't remember. No, it's a weird character.
Well, there's always a prologue.
Yeah, and they always start with like a character that we've never seen before and we probably will never hear from again in the story every time.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I don't. Oh, I remember who it is in the next book.
Oh, you do?
Yes. Maester Crescent.
Oh, see what I mean? Character we've never heard of and we're never going to hear from again.
Would you like to know whose Maester he is? Or is that a spoiler?
Is it someone we've met?
It's someone that has been talked about a lot, but we haven't actually met them yet.
Oh, I remember who it is.
I find it very interesting that Dany puts her dragons in very specific places on Khal Drogo's body.
Yeah, this is what I mentioned to you, and
we can't really discuss it.
I just can't discuss it, but it supports my theory about
the foreshadowing.
Dragons. Yes.
Yeah. I just think it's very interesting that she chooses the groin, the armpit, like by the heart.
Yeah, by the heart, and then wrapped with his ponytail next to his head.
Next to his head. So you've got head, heart, and then like the physical or whatever. It's almost chakra-like.
Yeah.
Like 3 planes of existence almost. You got the logical, the emotional, and then the physical.
And the libido.
And the libido. um You also got to give props to Miri Mazdur a little bit. She did try to be brave. She was like, I will not scream. Yeah, but you will scream.
Yeah, everyone says that until there's fire.
I don't know. This was just so good. And it's just so awesome to see Dany come through all of this pain and all of this trauma to just own it and have dragons.
Mm-hmm.
It's just awesome.
And find out she's fireproof.
Yeah, and she's apparently fireproof. Is she fireproof, though, or was that part of just the blood magic ritual?
I don't know.
Because Targaryens have burned before.
That's true, but were they the dragon?
They were trying to turn into a dragon.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I feel like it has to have something.
But she's the dragon.
She is, yeah. But I think you also have to invoke the blood magic, and you have to be like. I don't know. Like, would Dany be able to do it again? She sacrificed her son. She sacrificed Miri Mazdur. Drogo died. There was a lot of sacrifice and bad shit that happened in order to birth those dragons.
Well, yeah.
What other bad shit would she have to do to be able to do that again? And would she be willing to pay the price? You know, because Miri Mazdur is all about, you have to pay the price if you can pay the price. Well, the price was steep.
It was.
She literally lost her family.
Mm-hmm. But she gained a family back.
She did. She got 3 lovely babies that drink milk, apparently.
That was weird. The description of that was weird. It would have been fine if they were just like drinking her milk, but he was describing her walking in the fire and he said like it was leaking out and stuff. It's like, yeah, don't need that much description.
I mean, that's what happens.
I know. But it's like, was it hissing? Was it like a kettle boiling over? You know, that you're walking into the fire. Is that why it was coming out? Just.
Okay, it wasn't that. I'm sure it wasn't like that. But heat does do that.
Oh, okay.
So
he was just being
like after you have a baby.
So he was.
They say after you have a baby not to take hot showers because the hot water actually facilitates
will cause the kettles to boil over.
Yes, and then you're leaking in the shower. So that's actually based in fact. Like okay. That would have happened anyway. It's not just Martin being colorful. That would have happened.
All right, well.
And I'm just gonna say it, like, if dragons are reptilian, they wouldn't need to drink milk. But they're magical creatures.
Dragons.
They're magical creatures. They don't poop. I get it.
Exactly. So
is Dany?
And if they're reptilian, they would be cold-blooded. And I highly doubt a dragon is cold-blooded.
Yeah, there's no way.
Yeah,
there's no way they would ever warm up enough to be doing the dragon things. No.
Yeah.
So do you think going forward, Dany's gonna say things like, "Jorah, fuck me. My babies are thirsty."
No, because it's not her that she's feeding. Yeah, Jorah basically confessing his love for her. And
I know, Jorah
She was just like, cool, bro.
Jorah really put it out there. He's just like, I am yours, Khaleesi. Today, tomorrow, until the end, no matter what. Don't walk into the fire, Khaleesi. I don't know what I'm gonna do without you.
She just pulled a, don't tell me what to do.
He really did lay it out. He basically told her he loved her without out and out telling her that he loved her. He very much did the pulled a fast one on her with the thing. Although she knew because she played him because she was like, "Oh, you're so sweet," and she gave him a kiss. Mm-hmm. She knows what she's doing. She's smart. She played that crowd. She played that whole crowd and got exactly what she wanted.
Well, I don't think there's any way you could play the crowd wrong when you're going to walk out of it with dragons.
She didn't have... Do you think she was 100% confident she was going to walk out with dragons?
No, but I mean, what were her options? She's either going to walk out with dragons or she's going to burn to death.
That's true.
It's like, either way, at the end of the day, it's not your problem anymore.
This is true. This is true. And I bet those people will now follow her more faithfully than anyone else in the series, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there's no one else who's commanded that much loyalty.
I mean...
Maybe Jon. Maybe. But Jon doesn't have dragons. He's got Ghost, though.
I mean, right now, Ghost is bigger than them, though. Ghost could,
eat them. Ghost could eat them. That's true. But yeah, I think Jon is like the only other one who's like got crazy loyalty from his... Well, they're his peers.
Yeah.
I guess that's a major difference, is they're his peers. He didn't do a crazy blood magic ritual.
No, but
he does have Ghost.
He did burn down a tower.
He did use the kill a zombie.
Yeah.
He did kill a zombie.
He saved Mormont with fire. So.
Yeah.
So kind of. A little bit.
I guess maybe the only difference...
But you're also going to talk about him, and you're not going to talk about Robb, who literally just had all of his bannermen declare him King in the North.
King in the North! King in the North!
I think he might outrule Jon there. Just saying.
That's true.
Yeah,
maybe that's a better comparison, just because Jon's people are his peers. They're his equals.
Yeah.
Robb is in the same position as Dany. He's like their king.
Yeah.
He's their Khaleesi.
Exactly.
And he also has an animal.
Well, I guess Khal, right? Because the male leaders are Khals.
Yes. I know.
Khal Robb.
Khal Robb. Doesn't have the same.
They should do a spin-off called Khal Sol.
Khal Sol.
Over in Essos, some
lawyer who's Dothraki descendant or whatever.
So you're saying they tied you behind a horse just for selling them wine? All right, we'll get to the bottom of this.
Do you see all these bells? I've never lost a case. Oh man. It's awesome. We finished it. It's finished. We can now read the next one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Clash of Kings.
Should I
what kings will be joining us?
Which kings are gonna clash? Who's gonna do the thing? Will Dany's dragons grow big and strong?
Will Tyrion murder Joffrey?
Will Sansa
marry Joffrey?
Yeah. Why not?
And where the hell is Arya?
That is one of the more important questions that we need answered.